r/AskReddit by Reddify. What is the most disrespectful thing that someone has done in your home? Friend must have seen me once put in the code for my spare key lockbox, and I came home to her in my fucking house. Mind you, we are not close. Her excuse? She had to go to the toilet. Safe to say, I reset that shit and didn't invite her over anymore. Weirded me out. My mom made a huge dinner for my aunt and cousins. They showed up 2 hours late. Told my mom, oh sorry, the boys can't eat that much right now, and just went in our fridge and made them sandwiches instead. It was after an awful spinal surgery I went through when I was 12. They were cousins and my parents caught them trying to steal my painkillers. If you are enjoying the video, please give a thumbs up and leave a comment. Join my Discord server, link in the description. She invited a bunch of sleazy guys over. Despite me asking her not to, she let them in while I was in the shower. So I did not realize they were in my house. She then took one into my housemate's bedroom and locked the door. Super disrespectful to my housemate, who had so kindly offered that she could stay in her room as she was going to be at her boyfriend's for the weekend. When I got out of the shower, one of the guys was in my bed, and I was like, dude, get the fuck out of my bedroom. And he refused and said my friend said he could stay there. I was very not okay with that. I physically had to push him out of my house. The next day, when she sobered up, I kicked her out of my house and did not speak to her for 3 years. Constantly unplugging electronics. First it was the thermostat. She didn't like the sound the water heater made, then the Wi-Fi. The CIA was snooping on her, and finally my fridge. She was saving the environment. Not house but apartment in college. Roommate invited a bunch of people over one night. We each had our own bathroom, clearly marked. I go to get something from my room and hear obvious fucking in my bathroom. I knock on the door and say, wrong one. Get the fuck out. After they came out, I saw that they had cleaned themselves up on my nice white towels. Apparently she was on her period. Dude crapped his pants while sitting on my couch playing a video game and just sat there finishing the match. We were having an old-fashioned LAN party and the entire room cleared out. We invited a group of people over for lunch. One of them arrived, put a bunch of food on a plate in a plastic container, and left to bring it to eat with her boyfriend. Edited as my memory comes back. My wife's cousin was staying at our house because he is going through marital problems. One night I woke up in the middle of the night and I heard some change rattling. He walks down the hall with my 5-year-old's piggy bank. He was taking money from my fucking daughter's piggy bank to buy beer and smokes. I was a kid. My mom had a friend and her son over. They were over for a couple hours, and just as they were leaving I noticed all of my video games were gone. I told my mom. She goes, grabs his backpack, and of course they were all in his bag. His mother immediately came to his defense, saying he's got a lot of games and must have thought they were his. It didn't even make sense and she acted as if nothing had happened. Anyway, terrible mother. Kid had no chance. He is now in jail for life, no parole, for shooting and killing a cop during a cocaine bust. A friend from college days stayed in our house while he was looking for a job in the area. The only house rule was, do not let the cat out. He's strictly an indoor cat and never goes outdoors. We came home one day and found the slider and screen open. Our beloved cat was gone. When he saw how upset and distraught we were, his response was, it's only a cat, no big deal. As I've noted here some time ago, we put this guest out right away, and it wasn't until many days later that our cat returned home, thin but safe. Not my home, but I was renting a house and the landlady kept turning up unannounced and would let herself in, and would give the key to people doing work on the house without telling us, so we'd, without warning, have strangers let themselves into the house. It was a very stressful way to live. Somebody left small children in our house while they went to the grocery store. One night the girls who lived in the apartment across the hall brought a friend with them to hang with us. As soon as she walked in she screamed, this will be hilarious. College guys always get the shitty hand-me-down dishes from their parents. She walked into the kitchen and began pulling out pans and dishes and howling about how old and ratty they were. Our friends were mortified. When they tried to talk to her she talked louder. After 30 seconds of this lunacy, my roommate and I told her to leave. She threw a giant fit and called us assholes. A now ex-girlfriend came into my parents' home for only the second time and said to my mother, "Wow, it's tidy in here for a change." Haha, I could see in my mother's eyes the thought process of how to slap her to the next century without making a scene. Thankfully she laughed it off, but that was a big red flag for me and my ex. Had a drunk partygoer attempt to do pull-ups from the planks of my old ranch style ceiling just beneath a heater vent and ended up pulling down a large portion of my ceiling. Refused to pay for it. Our old roommate pissed in my cat's litter pan because I deserved to clean up his piss. He was mad I wouldn't pay his rent for the third month. Digbag. Kicked my cat. Smoked my weed without permission. Pissed on the toilet seat. Then stole some games when they left. All in one 40-minute visit. Intruded in a homemade family dinner uninvited and then insulted my cooking. Didn't get a thank you either. Told me that my food was shit and refused to eat anything. When my husband was in the army, we invited a bunch of single soldiers to have Thanksgiving dinner at our house rather than let them languish in the barracks. One of them was a childish private. He began the night by plopping down on the sofa to play with his Gamma Boy and announced that he hated turkey. Ignored everyone else for the next hour. Alright. No problem. I made a massive dinner and there's plenty of other things to eat. When it came time to serve up the buffet, people lined up and were heaping their plates and this jackass kept loudly complaining that there was nothing good. Selected a few items and joined everyone at the table. Took one bite of one thing. Visibly gagged and threw down his fork. Announced that all this food was shit and left the table. Went back to the sofa with his Gamma Boy. Everyone blew it off and ignored him for a while. We enjoyed our meal and people went out of their way to tell me how lovely the food was and to thank me for inviting them. People began to break up and get drinks. Music was turned up and we settled in for a nice evening. About an hour after dinner, the stinker began to bitch that he was hungry, that there wasn't anything to eat, would not shut up, demanded that somebody order pizza. At one point he asked for a peanut butter sandwich. I made him one, and he was pissed because it was whole wheat bread and he only liked white. After he rejected the sandwich, I didn't know what the hell to do. I stood there holding the damn thing, and I was pretty close to throwing it at him. 3 soldiers abruptly excused themselves, pulled him off the couch, and marched him outside. The soldiers came back in about 15 minutes later, picked up their drinks, and continued the conversation like nothing ever happened. I never saw him again. And I mean ever. He must have been banned from every social function from then on out, because it's like he never existed. The sad thing is that a lot of immature kids are encouraged to join by exasperated families in an effort to make a man out of them. Rarely works. Thankfully they never last. When I was in like 2nd grade, I invited this girl over and we made popcorn as a snack, and not even 5 minutes later, this twat decided it's a good idea to run all over my house throwing it everywhere. This goes on another 5 minutes while I chase her down. But the damage is done. The popcorn is in between couch cushions, under the fridge, under my bed, in my laundry basket, all over the damn floor. My mom ends up sitting us down and proceeds to lay it out on her, telling her that what she did was disrespectful and to help clean up. She pouted and said no, saying since it wasn't her house she didn't have to clean shit. She continued to pout as my mom called her mom and pretty much told her to leave and to not expect to be invited back anytime soon. I haven't spoken to her in a while, but apparently she got banned from the mall for trashing a Lush store with her friend, throwing food, dumping out products, and smashing bath bombs, so I guess she hasn't changed much. I had a massive piss up for my 18th. Close to 100 people, so I knew something would go wrong. Turns out the worst thing that went wrong was that someone was somehow able to shit in our oven. Edit 1. Piss up is Australian slang for party. Edit 2. For those who wondered how someone is able to fit in an oven, just imagine Jerry from Rick and Morty. Edit 3. I didn't have to clean it out. Old mate who did it had the honors. When I was a kid I invited a friend over and she tried to trap and suffocate my new kittens in a box. Locked me out of my own bedroom. Proceeded to destroy my stuff. then had the nerve to yell at me for saying she can't go back in my room.